Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about one of the most powerful tools you own, your brain. If you want to live a life of abundance, you've got to start by upgrading your brain. It's not just about learning new skills or memorizing information. It's about rewiring your thinking, transforming your mindset, and unleashing your potential to create wealth, opportunity, and success. Too many people walk around with outdated software in their minds. They're running programs of fear, limitation, and scarcity. But you were designed for greatness. You were built to create, to prosper, and to thrive. The question I ask you, are you ready to upgrade your brain to match the life you want? First, understand this. Abundance starts in your mind before it shows up in your bank account. You must shift your thoughts from scarcity to possibility. This is not wishful thinking. This is strategic mental conditioning. Feed your brain with empowering beliefs. Replace? I can't with. How can I? Replace? It's impossible with. What's the next step? Second, your brain needs constant input. Success leaves clues. Study the winners, read the books, listen to the right mentors, but don't just consume, apply what you learn. The brain upgrades through action, not just knowledge. The moment apply a principle, you build a new neural pathway. That's growth. Third, manage your environment. Your brain is influenced by what you surround yourself with, people, media, habits. To upgrade your brain, you have to upgrade your environment, remove negativity, distractions, and toxic influences. Fill your space with inspiration, education, and people who push you higher. Fourth, master your emotions. Your brain's chemistry is powerful, but it can work for you or against you. Fear, doubt, and worry shrink your brain's capacity to create. Practice gratitude, faith, and confidence daily. These emotions literally rewire your brain for abundance. Fifth, embrace challenges and failures. Your brain grows stronger by overcoming obstacles, not avoiding them. Every failure is a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. Train your brain to see opportunity and difficulty. That's how abundance is born. Finally, commit to lifelong upgrading. Your brain is not static. It's a living, breathing asset that responds to your input and effort. Make it a daily habit to learn, grow, and elevate your thinking. The more you upgrade, the more abundance you attract. When it comes to creating abundance in your life, everything begins with your mindset. The way you think, the mental programming you run every day determines your results. If you want to live an abundant life, if you want to attract wealth, opportunities, and success, you must first upgrade your brain by shifting your mindset from scarcity to possibility. This shift is not just a feel-good idea or some vague motivational concept. It's a fundamental change in how your brain processes reality, and it directly impacts every decision you make, every action you take, and ultimately the life you create. Scarcity is a mindset rooted in fear, limitation, and survival. It whispers in your ear that there's never enough. Not enough money, enough time, not enough resources, not enough opportunity. Scarcity tells you to play it safe, to hold back, to settle for less than you deserve, because the world is a dangerous place where you have to protect what little you have. When your brain is wired this way, it shuts down your creativity, your risk-taking, and your willingness to step outside your comfort zone. Scarcity limits your vision. When you can't see possibilities, you can't act on them. On the other hand, possibility is a mindset of faith, abundance, and growth. It says, there is more than enough for everyone. It encourages you to explore, to innovate, and to expand. It pushes you to ask, what if, instead of why not? Possibility opens your brain's doors to opportunity. When you think in terms of possibility, your brain begins to look for solutions instead of problems. You start noticing options you never saw before. You become a magnet for new ideas, new connections, and new ways to grow your income, your relationships, and your influence. The first step in upgrading your brain is to become aware of the scarcity stories you're telling yourself. Maybe you grew up hearing, money is hard to come by, or people like us don't get rich, or you can't trust anyone in business. These are scarcity narratives, and they live deep in your subconscious mind, influencing your behavior even when you're not conscious of it. Your brain is designed to protect you, so it clings to these familiar stories because they feel safe. But safety is the enemy of growth. If you want abundance, they see the strength of you have to write those scripts. Start by catching yourself when you say or think limiting statements. Instead of, I can't afford that, ask, how can I afford that? Instead of, there's no way to make more money, ask, what's a new way I haven't tried yet to increase my income? This simple change in language forces your brain to shift from a closed system to an open one. You're no longer stuck in no. You're moving into yes. You're telling your brain, I'm looking for solutions, and your brain responds by scanning your environment for them. You also have to feed your brain with new beliefs. This means intentionally surrounding yourself with positive messages, success stories, and empowering affirmations. Your brain can't hold two conflicting beliefs at the same time. If you're constantly telling yourself, I'm broke, but listening to some people creating wealth, the new ideas will eventually win because the brain wants growth. Read books, watch videos. They listen to podcasts that promote possibility thinking. The more you expose your brain to abundance-minded ideas, the more it rewires itself to accept them as true. Remember, the brain is neuroplastic. It changes based on what you focus on. If you focus on lack, your brain builds more neural pathways for scarcity thinking. If you focus on abundance, your brain builds pathways for growth, creativity, and opportunity. This is why it's critical to control your mental diet. What you consume mentally is just as important as what you consume physically. Fill your mind with abundance and your actions will follow. Another powerful tool to shift your mindset is to practice gratitude. When you focus on what you already have, no matter how small, you tell your brain that life is good and resources are available. Gratitude shifts your brain chemistry, releasing dopamine and serotonin, which increase your optimism and energy. This biochemical shift makes you more creative and more resilient. The more you practice gratitude, the easier it becomes to see possibilities everywhere. It's also important to take ownership of your thoughts. Nobody else can control what you believe, but you allow certain beliefs to run your life. You have the power to challenge and change your mental programming. Instead of being a victim of circumstance, become the architect of your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is it helping me create the life I want? If the answer is no, then replace it with a thought that supports your vision of abundance. When you consistently apply this mindset shift, your brain starts to reprogram itself to live in a world of possibility. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or being blindly optimistic. It means you're choosing to see beyond limitations and act on opportunities. You become solution-oriented, proactive, and resilient. Your brain begins to work for you instead of against you. Finally, understand that shifting your mindset is a process, not a one-time event. Your old scarcity programming didn't form overnight, so it won't disappear overnight. It requires repetition, focus, and commitment. Each day, be deliberate about what you think, what you say, and what you believe. Over time, your brain will upgrade and your results will upgrade too. Learning is the foundation of upgrading for abundance, but knowledge alone is not enough. Too many people fall into the trap of consuming information without ever putting it into practice. They read books, listen to podcasts, attend seminars, and take courses, but their lives don't change because they never apply what they learn. The truth is, your brain upgrades and grows just by absorbing knowledge, but by taking action on that knowledge. Application is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. When you take in new information, your brain creates new neural pathways, but these pathways remain weak until you exercise them. They the strength to think of it like building muscle. Reading about weightlifting won't strengthen your body. You have to lift the weights. The same goes for your brain. You have to practice, implement, and test the ideas to make those pathways strong and permanent. This is why learning without action is wasted energy. Success leaves clues, and those clues are found in the habits and strategies of those who have already achieved what you want. When you study successful people, you're not just gathering facts, you're gathering patterns and principles. But it's not enough to admire or memorize those patterns. You have to apply them in your life consistently. When you do, your brain learns what works and what doesn't, and it adjusts accordingly. This feedback loop is essential to growth. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for perfect conditions to apply what they've learned. They say, I'll start my business when I have more money, or I'll take action after I finish this course, or I'll try that strategy once I feel more confident. The problem is confidence comes from doing, not from waiting. Your brain upgrades when you step into action, especially when you face challenges and learn from mistakes. Waiting only keeps you stuck in your old programming. The moment you apply a principle or strategy, you're telling your brain to create a new pathway that supports growth. The more you repeat the action, the stronger the pathway becomes, and soon it becomes an automatic part of your behavior. This is how habits are formed and how transformation happens. The brain loves habits because they conserve energy. Once your brain learns that a new behavior leads to positive results, it automates that behavior so you don't have to think about it every time. It's also important to understand learning and application must be intentional and focused. Your brain can only process and retain so much at a time. They try to learn everything all at once without a clear plan leads to overwhelm and paralysis. Instead, choose one or two key principles to focus on and apply them thoroughly before moving on to new concepts. This deep focus helps your brain build stronger connections and prevents information overload. Accountability plays a critical role in this process when you commit your learning goals and action steps to someone else. Whether a mentor, coach, or peer group, you create external motivation and support. This accountability increases the likelihood that you will follow through and practice what you've learned. It also gives you a chance to receive feedback, adjust your approach, and accelerate your growth. Another powerful way to upgrade your learning and application is to teach others what you have learned. Teaching forces you to organize your knowledge, clarify your thinking, and deepen your understanding. When you explain concepts to someone else, your brain forms more robust neural connections, making the information easier to recall and apply in different situations. Remember that not every idea will work perfectly the first time. In fact, some things will fail, but failure is a critical part of the learning process. Your brain upgrades when you analyze what went wrong, adjust your strategy, and try again. This iterative process builds resilience and sharpens your ability to solve problems creatively. It's how innovation and progress happen. You also have to be selective about where you get your information. The internet is full of advice, but not all of it is accurate or useful. Be intentional about who you learn from. Look for mentors and sources with proven success in the area you want to grow. High quality input leads to higher quality output. Your brain will be more likely to adopt useful strategies if they come from credible, reliable sources. In addition to external learning, take time to reflect on your experiences. Self-reflection allows your brain to consolidate knowledge and recognize patterns in your own behavior and results. Journaling, meditation, or simply setting aside time to think critically about what you've tried and what you've learned strengthens your brain's ability to adapt and improve. It's also important to recognize the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is information. Wisdom is the ability to use that information effectively. Wisdom comes from experience, repeated application, and thoughtful analysis. Your goal should not just be to accumulate knowledge, but to develop wisdom that helps you make better decisions and take smarter actions. By consistently combining learning with deliberate action, you transform your brain from a passive receiver of information into an active creator of results. This upgrade enables you to solve problems faster, recognize opportunities sooner, and execute your ideas more effectively. It's the key to breaking through limitations and stepping into a life of abundance. Your environment is one of the most powerful influences on your brain and your ability to upgrade it for abundance. You might think that your success or failure depends solely on your talents or effort, but the truth is the people you surround yourself with, the media you consume, and the habits you cultivate all shape how your brain thinks, reacts, and creates. If you want to upgrade your brain and attract abundance, you must take a hard look at your environment and make intentional choices about what you allow into your mental and physical space. First, they see the strength of understand that your brain is constantly taking in information from your surroundings. Even when you're not consciously aware of it, your brain is like a sponge absorbing the energy, attitudes, and beliefs of the people around you. If you're in a toxic environment filled with negativity, complaints, and limiting beliefs, your brain will pick up those frequencies and start to reflect them in your own thinking. This can make it extremely difficult to develop the mindset of abundance because scarcity thinking becomes the norm. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with positive, forward-thinking people who believe in growth and opportunity, your brain starts to align with that vibration. It becomes easier to think big, take risks, and pursue your goals with confidence. One of the most effective ways to control your environment is to evaluate your relationships carefully. Who do you spend the most time with? Are these people supporting your growth, challenging you to improve, and encouraging your dreams? Or are they draining your energy, sowing doubt, and reinforcing limitations? Relationships are like mirrors. They reflect back what you believe about yourself. If you want to upgrade your brain for abundance, spend more time with those who see your potential, inspire you, and hold you accountable. Seek out mentors, peers, or masterminds who push you to think bigger and act bolder. It's not just people. The media you consume has a massive impact on your brain's program about the shows you watch, the music you listen to, the social media accounts you follow, and the books you read. If the content you consume is filled with fear, drama, or negativity, it influences your brain to focus on lack and limitation. But if you fill your mind with empowering content, success stories, and educational material, you rewire your brain toward abundance and growth. This is why you must be selective and intentional of what you let in. Be proactive in choosing information that uplifts, educates, and motivates you rather than content that drags you down. Your physical environment also matters. The space you work and live in can either support your brain's ability to focus, create, and innovate, or it can drain your energy and scatter your thoughts. Clutter, distractions, and chaos create stress and reduce your brain's capacity to think clearly. On the other hand, a clean, organized, an inspiring environment encourages productivity and mental clarity. Take time to design your workspace and living area with intention. Surround yourself with objects that remind you of your goals and dreams, and remove anything that distracts or demotivates you. Habits are another critical part of your environment. Your daily routines shape your brain's wiring over time. If you have habits that reinforce scarcity thinking, like procrastination, complaining, or negative self-talk, your brain stays stuck in survival mode. But when you develop habits that promote growth, such as reading daily, practicing gratitude, setting goals, and taking consistent action, you train your brain to operate from a mindset of abundance. Habits are the autopilot settings of your brain. Choose them wisely because they determine how your brain functions under stress and pressure. It's also important to create a mental environment that supports abundance. This means guarding your mind from toxic thoughts and mental clutter. Just as you clean your physical space, you must clear your mind regularly. Practices like meditation, journaling, or quiet reflection can help you identify and release limiting beliefs and negative emotions that hold you back. These mental detoxes create space for new, empowering thoughts and ideas to take root. Another way to upgrade your environment is to limit exposure to energy vampires, people or situations that drain your enthusiasm and confidence. They see this might mean setting boundaries with certain friends or family members, saying no to events that don't serve your growth, or even changing jobs or communities if necessary. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's essential. Your brain can't upgrade in a toxic environment, no matter how much effort put in. You have to defend your mental space as fiercely as you defend your time and money. Remember that upgrading your environment is an ongoing process. Your brain adapts to whatever you feed it, so continual evaluation and adjustment are necessary. This requires discipline and courage because sometimes it means making tough decisions, walking away from relationships, changing habits, or restructuring your daily routine. But the payoff is enormous. When you control your environment, you control what your brain focuses on, believes in, and ultimately creates. When you intentionally create an environment that supports growth, positivity, and abundance, your brain gets the signals it needs to rewire itself for success. Your thoughts become bigger, your actions bolder, and your results more significant. You start living in a world where opportunities are visible, resources are plentiful, and your potential is limitless. Your environment becomes a launch pad, not a barrier to the life you want to build. Mastering your emotions is one of the most critical steps in upgrading your brain for abundance. Your emotions are not just feelings that come and go. They are powerful signals that influence how your brain functions and how you experience the world. When you allow fear, doubt, worry, or anger to dominate your emotional state, your brain chemistry changes in ways that limit your ability to think clearly, make smart decisions, and create opportunities. On the other hand, when you cultivate emotions like gratitude, faith, confidence, and joy, your brain releases chemicals that enhance creativity, resilience, and problem-solving abilities. Mastery over your emotions means learning how to control your inner state so that your brain is working for you, not against you. Emotions are biological responses created by your brain to help you survive. When danger is perceived, whether real or imagined, your brain triggers a flood of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This fight or flight response narrows your focus to immediate threats and shuts down higher level functions like creativity and long-term planning. If your brain is stuck in this stress mode too often, it becomes difficult to see beyond scarcity or fear, and your mindset becomes limited. This is why people under chronic stress often struggle with negative thinking, poor health, and lack of motivation. But here's the good news: you have the power to influence your brain chemistry by managing your emotional responses. It starts with awareness. They see the first step in emotional mastery is learning to recognize when negative emotions arise and understanding what triggers them. Maybe it's a tough conversation, a financial setback, or a critical thought about yourself. When you become aware of these triggers, you can pause before reacting. That pause creates space to choose a different emotional response, one that serves your abundance mindset rather than limits it. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotional tools you can use to upgrade your brain. When you intentionally focus on what you're thankful for, no matter how small, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. They feel good, neurotransmitters. These chemicals boost your mood and increase your breathing creatively and solve problems. Practicing gratitude daily rewires your brain to focus on abundance rather than lack. It shifts your perception from what's missing to what's already present, and this simple shift creates a foundation for growth and opportunity. Faith and confidence work similarly by influencing your brain chemistry. When you have faith in your ability to overcome challenges and confidence in your worth and skills, your brain produces chemicals that enhance focus and motivation. This creates a positive feedback loop. The more you believe in your capacity to succeed, the more your brain supports actions that lead to success. Developing faith and confidence isn't about blind optimism. It's about training your brain to expect good outcomes and prepare for them mentally and emotionally. Managing your emotions also means learning how to let go of worry and doubt. These emotions trigger the same stress hormones that limit your brain's higher functions. Worry keeps you trapped in a loop of what ifs that distract you from taking productive action. Doubt undermines your confidence and sabotages your efforts. To break free, you have to replace worry and doubt with constructive thoughts and affirmations. Instead of, what if I fail? Ask, what can I learn if things don't go as planned? Instead of, I'm not good enough, say, I'm growing every day and getting better. This deliberate shift changes your brain's internal dialogue and supports a mindset of abundance. Another important aspect of emotional mastery is the practice of emotional regulation techniques. These can include deep breathing, meditation, visualization, and mindfulness. When you engage in these practices regularly, you train your brain to stay calm and focused even in stressful situations. This calm state allows your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision making and creativity, to function at its best. Instead of reacting impulsively or shutting down, you respond thoughtfully and with clarity. It's also essential to surround yourself with environments and people that support positive emotional states. Toxic relationships, stressful jobs, and negative media can drain your emotional energy and reinforce limited emotions. By choosing to be around uplifting influences and nurturing your emotional well-being, you create a fertile ground for your brain to thrive. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is perfect. It's about understanding your emotional landscape and intentionally guiding it in a direction that serves your growth and abundance. Resilience is another key outcome of mastering your emotions. Life will always have challenges, setbacks, and unexpected twists. When you have emotional mastery, you recover faster from disappointments, stay motivated despite obstacles, and maintain a clear vision of your goals. Your brain learns that challenges are temporary and solvable, not permanent barriers. This resilience rewires your brain to focus on solutions rather than problems. Remember that emotional mastery is a skill, not a trait. You're not born with it. You develop it through practice, intention, and self-awareness. Like any skill, the more you practice managing your emotions, the easier it becomes and the stronger your brain becomes at supporting abundance thinking. You can start by tracking your emotional patterns, practicing gratitude daily, and using breathing or mindfulness techniques to regain control in moments of stress. Taking consistent action is the fuel that powers the upgrade of your brain for abundance. You can have the best mindset, the most positive environment, and the strongest emotional control, but without action, none of it will translate into real results. The brain learns and rewires itself through repeated behaviors that build new habits and strengthen new neural pathways. Consistency in action is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Many people misunderstand action. They think action has to be big, dramatic, or perfect. They wait for the right moment, the perfect plan, or the ideal conditions. The truth is action begins with small steps taken repeatedly. Small daily actions compound over time, and that compounding effect creates momentum. When you take consistent action, your brain shifts from uncertainty and hesitating to certainty and confidence. Your habits become aligned with abundance, and your results begin to multiply. Consistency builds trust between your mind and your goals. When you show up every day, even when it's hard or you don't feel like it, you send a powerful message to your brain that your vision matters. This daily commitment rewires your brain's pathways to prioritize actions that support your goals, making those behaviors easier and more automatic. Over time, your brain moves from willpower-driven action to habit-driven action, and habits are the architecture of lasting success. Taking consistent action also reduces overwhelm and fear. When you try to tackle everything at once or wait for massive breakthroughs, you can become paralyzed by indecision or anxiety. But when you break your goals down to manageable steps and commit to doing something every day, no matter how small, you build a rhythm. This rhythm trains your brain to expect progress, creating positive reinforcement that motivates you to keep moving forward. The key to consistency is creating a system, a structure that supports your daily actions. This system could be a morning routine, a planning process, or accountability check-ins. Without a system, it's easy to get distracted, lose focus, or fall back into old habits. Your brain craves patterns and predictability. So when you build a reliable structure for action, your brain supports your efforts with less resistance. Accountability is another powerful force behind consistent action. When you share your goals and progress with someone else, whether it's a coach, mentor, or peer, you increase your likelihood of follow through. Knowing that someone else is aware of your commitments creates external motivation and perform. It also gives you the chance to get feedback, adjust your approach, and celebrate your wins, which fuels your momentum. Consistent action also teaches your brain to handle discomfort and uncertainty. Most growth happens outside of your comfort zone, and taking daily action forces you to face fears and doubts. Each time you push through resistance, your brain becomes stronger and more resilient. You develop grit, persistence, and courage, qualities that are essential for building abundance. Your brain learns that discomfort is temporary and necessary for progress. It's important to understand that action without direction is wasted effort. Taking consistent action means focusing on high-impact activities that move you closer to your goals. This requires clarity about what matters most and the discipline to avoid distractions. Your brain can only handle so many tasks before it becomes overwhelmed, so prioritize your actions carefully. The Pareto principle applies. 20% of your actions will produce 80% of your results. Focus your consistent effort there. Reflection is a key part of taking consistent action. After acting, take time to evaluate what's working and what isn't. This feedback allows your brain to learn from experience and adjust your strategy. Without reflection, you risk repeating mistakes or wasting energy on ineffective actions. Reflection deepens your understanding and accelerates your growth, making your future actions more effective. Another element to consider is the power of visualization combined with action. When you visualize your success regularly, you prime your brain for the outcome you want. This mental rehearsal activates the same neural pathways as physical practice. When you follow up visualization with consistent action, you align your brain's programming with your world behavior, creating a powerful synergy for achieving abundance. Taking consistent action also builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. When you start moving forward, even in small ways, you create positive energy that propels you to do more. This momentum reduces self-doubt and builds a sense of inevitability about your success. Your brain begins to expect progress, and this expectation influences your motivation and decision-making. Momentum turns hope into reality. It's crucial to maintain flexibility within consistency. Life will throw curveballs, and sometimes your plan needs adjustment. Consistency is not about rigidity or perfection. It's about commitment to progress despite obstacles. Your brain upgrades most effectively when you adapt and keep moving forward, learning as you go. Flexibility keeps you resilient and able to navigate challenges without losing sight of your goals. Cultivating a wealth mindset is fundamental to upgrading your brain for abundance. It's not just about having money or assets. It's about the way you think, believe, and behave around wealth and opportunity. Your mindset around wealth shapes your decisions, your habits, and ultimately your reality. If your thoughts are tangled in scarcity, fear, or limitation, your brain will default to those patterns and block the flow of abundance. But when you intentionally develop a mindset rooted in abundance, opportunity, and growth, you unlock new possibilities and align your brain to attract and create wealth consistently. The wealth mindset starts with belief. What do you believe about money and success? Many people have unconscious beliefs passed down from family, culture, or past experiences that limit their potential. Statements like, money is hard to come by, rich people are greedy, or I don't deserve wealth, create mental blocks that prevent your brain from fully embracing abundance. These limiting beliefs act like invisible walls, stopping you from taking bold steps or seeing opportunities that others might recognize. To upgrade your brain, you must identify and challenge these beliefs, replacing them with empowering truths. For example, money is a tool to create freedom. Wealth can be used for good, and I am worthy of financial success. Another core component of the wealth mindset is the ability to think long-term and invest in yourself. People with a scarcity mindset tend to focus on immediate gratification or fear losing what they have. In contrast, those with a wealth mindset understand the power of delayed gratification, strategic risk-taking. They invest time, energy, and resources into learning, growing, and building assets that multiply over time. Your brain upgrades when you adopt this perspective because it starts prioritizing behaviors that lead to growth and security instead of short-term comfort. This shift rewires your neural pathways toward patience, persistence, and smart decision-making. Gratitude plays a huge role in cultivating a wealth mindset. When you regularly appreciate what you have, even small things, your brain shifts focus from lack to abundance. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means recognizing the resources, relationships, and opportunities already present in your life. Gratitude creates a mental environment where abundance can flourish because it increases positive emotions and brain chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals enhance creativity and motivation, helping you see new paths to wealth and success. A wealth mindset also requires taking full responsibility for your financial life. This means owning your choices, learning from mistakes, and refusing to blame external circumstances for your situation. When you take responsibility, you empower your brain to seek solutions rather than dwell on problems. This proactive stance trains your brain to scan for opportunities, leverage resources, and act decisively. Responsibility builds confidence and resilience, qualities essential for overcoming setbacks and persisting toward your financial goals. Surrounding yourself with examples of wealth and success is another powerful way to cultivate this mindset. Your brain learns through association, and when you regularly interact with or study people who think and act with a wealth mindset, you absorb their habits and beliefs. This is why mentorship, networking, and consuming content from successful entrepreneurs, investors, and leaders can dramatically accelerate your brain's upgrade. You start adopting their language, the confidence and strategies making wealth more tangible and accessible. Visualization and affirmation are tools that directly influence your brain's programming toward wealth. When you visualize your financial goals vividly, feeling the emotions of success and imagining the details, you create a mental blueprint that your brain works to bring into reality. Affirmations, when repeated consistently, reinforce new beliefs and help override old limiting ones. These practices build a mental environment where abundance is natural and expected. It's also important to develop a mindset that views money as energy and a means to create value. Wealth is not just about accumulation, it's about circulation. When you understand that money flows to where value is created and appreciated, you shift your focus from scarcity to contribution. This mindset encourages generosity, ethical business practices, and collaboration. Your brain upgrades because it starts to see wealth creation as a positive cycle, not a zero-sum game. Fear is one of the biggest enemies of a wealth mindset. Fear of failure, fear of loss, or fear of judgment can paralyze you and keep your brain stuck in survival mode. To cultivate abundance, you must learn to manage and overcome these fears. This doesn't mean ignoring fear, but rather facing it with courage and using it as information rather than a stop sign. Each time you act despite fear, you strengthen your brain's resilience and rewire it for confidence and boldness.